Good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to First Church of Religious Science. Welcome to our Louise gathering, our self-healing class that meets every Thursday at 7 p.m. here in New York. No matter if you're joining us live on Zoom or you're watching a little bit later on YouTube, Facebook, thank you for being with us. Your presence here tonight is important. For those of you who are new, we gather 3 times a week. Sunday mornings at 10:45, we start with our meditation, followed by our main service, our main weekly message. And every Wednesday evenings at 7, same Zoom links again, Eastern Standard Time, we have our Creative Living series hosted by Reverend James. And here we are Thursday. This again is our Louise self-healing gathering. If anyone would like to support our work, there's options in the chat room. We don't charge for anything. Everything we do here is on a love offering basis, so please don't feel obligated. The big thing or the main thing is that you're here, and we're grateful that you're with us. Tonight's theme is one that affects us all, and it's entitled, What Are You Feeding Your Mind? Again, what are you feeding your mind? So let's begin with a moment of connection. I'd like you to think about your day today, what it was like, what your morning was like, the afternoon. What thoughts have you been feeding your mind today, this afternoon? Think about the day, your conversations, how it started. What thought comes up or what comes to mind? Something maybe that lifted you, or something that pulled you down a bit energetically. What comes to mind? Just think about what you have been feeding your mind today. Now, some of you are on your devices, your computers, your tablets. You can feel free to type in the chat what you have been feeling or feeding your mind. If you're watching on another platform or listening quietly at home, just hold the idea in your mind or in your heart. Whatever you answer, know this. You're not alone. We're all working with the same raw material. We're working with our thoughts. And this afternoon or this evening, we get to take a closer look at how powerful they really are. And here's an idea we repeat in different ways most weeks. You are the gatekeeper of your own mind. You're caused your own experience. You're gatekeeper of your own mind. What you allow in, what you dwell on, what you feed your mind hour by hour, day after day, it all becomes the foundation of your experience. Louise said, I don't fix problems. I fix my thinking. So that's what tonight is about. It's about improving our consciousness. It's about fixing our thinking. It's about nourishment. Just like your body needs clean, whole, life-giving, nutritious food, your mind needs life-giving thoughts. So we begin to explore this idea together by looking at 4 powerful truths this evening. Number 1, your thoughts you can think of them like nutrients. They're either fueling your spirit or they're draining your spirit. So since we're talking about feeding our mind, again, think of your thoughts as nutrients that either fuel you or drain you. Number 2, your mind digests life experiences just like your body digests your food. Number 3, you can change your mental inputs and your outcomes at any time. And 4, your mind is a bit like a radio receiver. You can tune it into a different frequency. You can tune your mind into the frequency of peace, possibility, love. You have the ability to tune into that. So I want to tell you a story first. Some years ago, it's like 10, 12 years ago, just before I came to New York, I was working in an outpatient program a couple days a week in Florida. And I remember one woman who came to our weekly Louise group. And I remember in particular, she was in her early 60s, a retired teacher. She had been caring for her husband through a long illness. She loved him deeply, but it was a lot because it just was a lot. And she was worn down. One night in class, she shared through some tears. She said, I don't think I'm a very good person. I do what I have to do, but I snap at him. And then I hate myself for it, and I get completely disappointed in myself. I get disappointed in him, and I get so tired. I just keep thinking I should be a better person, better wife. I should be better across the board. And that group was important. Everybody sat and heard her in silence. There was a truth in what she shared, so none of us really had anything to say. We just listened. And I remember eventually offering her an affirmation that I learned from my earlier work with Louise. Hey, it went something like this. I lovingly released the past. I did the best I could with what I knew at the time. She started using that quote when her guilt crept in. She used that quote again. I lovingly released the past. I did the best I could with what I knew at the time. So she used that affirmation just to interrupt the cycle. And little by little, something in her softened. This is over the course of a few weeks. She let herself feel what she felt without making herself wrong for feeling it. She stopped expecting herself to be perfect. And after a few weeks, she began sharing with the group some of the small shifts, in her attitude and what she had to say, the things that she noticed. She said she wasn't quite as reactive as she was with her husband, and she was catching herself in the moment and choosing to be a little bit more compassionate with herself and with him. She was beginning to remember herself, not just as a caregiver or someone struggling to hold it all together, but as a whole, vibrant human being, a woman with joy, strength, and a life that was still unfolding. See, that's what a healing thought can do. It doesn't erase the past, but it helps you come home to yourself. So I want to have a little section where you can repeat after me. So let's speak all of this into life together. You can say it out loud with me or just quietly in your mind. Go along with it. Here's an affirmation for tonight's lesson. I choose thoughts that uplift my soul. And again, with a little more intention. I choose thoughts that uplift my soul. And again, you can do it with a smile. I choose thoughts that uplift my soul. Let that energy move through you. Let it land. I choose thoughts that uplift my soul. So let me ask you, what one uplifting thought you want to plant in your mind? Say this week. Is there something that we all know the things that we work on? What one thing do you think would help you right now if you planted it in your mind this week? Because we're talking about feeding our mind. If you feel called, you can type it into the Zoom chat, but just whatever comes to mind. What one thing would you like to plant into your mind this week? Maybe it's I want to eat better. I want to improve my diet. Maybe I want to react less. Maybe I want to become the cheerleader or the champion of life. Bill Tolliver used to say, we're here to become lifters, not leaners. We don't want to be the drags on life. We want to be the ones that lift ourselves up and lift others. So what one uplifting thought do you think you would be good for you, or would you like to plant into your mind this week? So let's fill this space with light and healing possibility for that to happen. Because here's the thing, thoughts are definitely like nutrients. So we want to choose our thoughts wisely. Imagine your mind as a living, growing, I'll say landscape. Every thought you think becomes something. Could become a wildflower, could become a weed. It's a thought that could become a towering tree or a patch of thorns. Louise often reminded us that every thought is a choice, and every choice creates part of the next chapter of our life. If we keep repeating thoughts like, I can't do this, I'm falling behind, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that, it's too late for me. If we keep thinking that type of thought, we're unknowingly planting seeds of anxiety and frustration, perhaps even failure. But when we choose thoughts like, I'm learning, I'm doing better than I think. I'm okay. I'm supplied and supported. When you do any of that type of corrective, positive, life-affirming thinking, what you're doing is you're planting something stronger and you're planting something nourishing. You're feeding your mind with nourishing thoughts. Modern science will actually back this up too, as most of you know. Through neuroplasticity, we now know that your brain physically rewires itself based upon the thoughts that you repeat. So it's really smart to stay with these classes. Let us keep reminding you of the truth of who you are, that you're one with this one energy, that you're supplied and supported. So what we're asking you to do is to pay attention to your daily thought patterns, whether positive or negative, because they literally shape your brain's architecture. Like a gardener's shaping a path with each step, we want to reframe our thinking. Let's say, for example, you share an idea in a group and you're speaking from the heart, and then it seems not to be appreciated or it's brushed aside. You feel that sting, like you're creating a sense of rejection. And the next thought might be, I shouldn't have said anything. You see, that's like feeding your mind emotional junk food. It fills space, but it's not nourishing, and it weighs you down. One thing I've learned over the years, and it took a lot of years to learn this one, is don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. Refuse to be offended. See, you're going to get things wrong occasionally also. We all do. But more often than not, what we think someone meant, they didn't mean at all. And we will reject ourselves because we didn't get the response we thought we would get. And Louise would say we've been rejecting ourselves for years. We've been working against ourselves. Just like Louise pointed out again and again, we hear dismissal when it's not even there. So we'll react to stuff and it's not necessarily based on any reality or even what anyone said. It's our interpretation oftentimes. Sometimes we expect judgment even when no one's judging us. That's where this inner dialogue becomes a filter, and most people never stop to check it out. But once you pause and you question it, once you catch it in the act, you can start to feed yourself something new. Something like, okay, that didn't land, but I'm glad I spoke up. Or that moment where I made a mistake doesn't define me. I'm still growing. I'm still showing up. And see, that's emotional nutrition. That's how you digest your life with love. Because the truth is, if you're working against yourself doesn't work. And when we slip into our old stories that someone's doing something to us, then we're creating separation. And here we are, we're teaching about oneness, right? So we don't want to create enemies in our mind. Those are false ideas. So when we slip into our stories of someone's wronged us and poor me and ain't it awful, any of that type of stuff, someone's doing something to us, we're the ones that are creating this sense of separation. We're disconnecting from the truth that we teach. The truth that we teach is there is no separation. There's only this energy, this one unitary field, we're one with this energy. See, the thing I've learned is no one's really rejecting anybody. But if you believe they are, and you feed yourself that belief again and again, you're not just swallowing junk, you're cutting yourself off from the awareness of spirit, that you're one with this one energy. And that awareness is everything. That's the whole teaching, is we realize that we live, we move, we have our being in this energy. That's the mystical approach, realizing that it's all God, it's all good, and it's all unfolding in divine order. And that's where you want to lift your consciousness to the realization that everything is unfolding perfectly. We don't always understand it, but that's the truth. So as we have this consciousness, as we raise our consciousness, we're going to have peace. And that's where we're going to find our power. That's where we're going to find our healing. It's in your sense of connection with Source. You'll always come to love. You'll always be affirming, and you'll be feeding your consciousness. So instead of feeding yourself ideas of fear of rejection, choose something different. Choose something that nourishes. Feed yourself with nourishing thoughts. Feed yourself with thoughts that remind you of who you really are. I want to feed myself with care. I want to feed my mind with care, rather. I want to live with positive expectancy. Not because I'm perfect, but because I've decided to be on my own side. That's an important line for a self-healing class. I want to do this not because I'm perfect, but because I've decided to be on my own side. So I've got this story of this Fanny Mendelssohn. I say her name right. Let me introduce you to her. It's a story that moved me. Again, Fanny. Fanny was a German composer, brilliant, and pianist, born in 1805. Expressive, prolific. She wrote more than 400 musical works, including chamber pieces, songs, even orchestral works. But in her time, women were told music is a lovely hobby, but it's not your place to publish or perform. Her brother, though, his name was Felix, became famous. Fanny was just as gifted and was told to stay behind the curtain. And yet she didn't swallow that limitation. Instead, she wrote in her letters, "Music is my voice, and I must express it." She was wise, though. She understood that societal pressure. She understood it with wisdom. So she played in private salons. She shared her work in quiet rooms. And later in life, she began publishing her music anyway. Fanny didn't let bitterness eat her away. She turned restriction into resilience. Her piano trio in D minor is a stunning piece. If you have time this week to look it up, you'll hear a soul that chose to create beauty no matter what the world said. So look her up. Now I want to tell you about someone from our Sunday group. Quiet guy, always helping his family behind the scenes. One day he spent hours fixing everyone's tech problems, routers, printers, tablets, and nobody said thank you. He went home and thought, I guess I don't matter. They don't appreciate me. But then he remembered something from one of our classes, and it was this: my value is not dependent upon applause. And he started to affirm, my efforts are meaningful. I value myself. And something started to change. He stood a little taller. He became more confident. In a few weeks, his family began noticing also. They thanked him more often. They included him more. You see, something in the outer world catches up after the inner healing begins. So we have to start. So I'd like you to repeat after me. I digest my experiences with love and wisdom. That's a good one, since today we're feeding our mind. I digest my experiences with love and wisdom. One more time. I digest my experiences with love and wisdom. So let that land deep in your heart. Again, I've already asked a version of this. What is one experience you'd like to digest with more love this week? Perhaps you identified it before. It might be something fresh or something old. You can share it in the chat or just bring it to yourself. So we're all in this healing journey together. And here's the thing that's important to realize. Even though you feel like you're stuck, you're never really stuck. It's just not possible. Right now in this very moment, you have the ability to change what you're thinking, what you've been thinking. You have the ability to change what you've been feeling and how you show up in your own life. If you've been repeating the same old thought like, I'm a failure, I can't do this, I never get anything right, I'm not enough, or if you've been comparing yourself negatively to somebody, you can stop that. You can pause, you can breathe, you can say, it's not true, and you can change it to, I'm worthy, I'm learning to love myself, I'm growing stronger every day in every way. You see, the shift isn't just mental, it's transformational. As you do this work, it'll change the emotional tone in your entire life. With Louise Hay, we all remember her story. She faced a cancer diagnosis a couple times. She didn't collapse with fear. She taught us to affirm and to treat our thoughts like the nutrients of her mind. And she didn't just say that, she lived her life that way. We all witnessed it. She fed her mind with healing words. Words like a phrase she used was, I'm safe, my body is a mirror of my inner peace. She released resentment, she practiced radical forgiveness, and slowly but surely she changed the input, and the output followed. Her body, her emotions, and her entire life responded to what she chose to say, what she chose to believe. Now I want to share another example, someone from her own extended circle. You might remember Elena. She was a nurse. And like so many caretakers, she was giving everything she had to others. But judging herself, she was really critical of herself with the process. Her inner tape, that inner dialogue kept repeating, I'm failing as a mother because I'm always working. No time for my kids. And I'm sure some of you can relate to that because many of us carry that I'm not enough, I'm not doing well enough script in one form or another. But this lady started to catch herself at it where she was putting herself down. She started to challenge herself. And she'd write on sticky notes, affirmations, and put them on the bathroom mirror. Like, I'm a loving mother, I'm doing my best, my presence is more powerful than my schedule. And one night when she was with her kids and watching a movie, out of the blue, one of her daughters looked over and said, I love your hospital stories, Mommy. They're kind of heroic. And Elena later told me that her heart cracked open in the best possible way. And her whole sense of guilt lifted, not because her hours at work had changed, but because her thinking did change. She stopped feeding her mind with ideas of shame, that she wasn't enough or doing enough. And she started feeding her mind with truth. And as a result, her whole nervous system responded. Now I want to bring you one more example, someone from our Wednesday class. And this one was concerning public speaking. Somebody was totally freaked out about speaking in public. And she told us that even saying her name in public used to make her panic because the dominant thought in her mind was, I'm going to mess up, I'll embarrass myself, I'll be tongue-tied. So she was full of fear and anxiety. But she made a decision. She chose a new mental diet. Every day she practiced this affirmation. She would say, I speak with confidence and I speak with joy. And she didn't feel that way at all at first, but she wanted to feel that way. So she practiced in class. And she saw herself stumble, but she kept going. It's kind of like when you say, I love, accept, and approve of myself. She was saying, I speak with confidence and joy. And a month later, she had to do a presentation. And you guess what happened? At the end of her presentation, there was a room of 25 or 30 people. Everybody stood up and clapped. And they were all surprised that she could do it because she wasn't the type of person who really would ever speak up. And she was stunned herself. And she said afterwards, it's like I finally stopped shrinking. And you know what? I had a moment like that this week when I was preparing for the class. I heard the voice inside of my head saying, this isn't coming together. What if this talk isn't helpful? What if nobody connects with it? See, that sneaky inner critic, I think, lives inside of all of us to some extent. And it shows up right when you're trying to do your work as a parent or as a teacher, anything really. But once I caught it, I paused and I breathed and I said, oh, no. I do this with love and wisdom and with ease. I'm supplied and supported is my go-to affirmation. And in that moment, something shifted, of course, and then the words started to come and flow. The energy changes when we do that. And here we are together in our moment of connection. Sometimes it only takes one loving thought to turn your whole day around. Wayne Dyer captured it well when he said, change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. So that's what this lesson is really about. You don't have to prove yourself. You don't have to fix yourself, and you don't have to wait for the world to agree either. You just need a little bit of willingness and a little bit of love in your thinking. Louise reached for the next kind thought, the next peaceful sentence. And little by little, the mental airwaves cleared, And then we have the demonstrations that we want. And all of us can do the same. So I'll share a real moment from someone in our community who told us that every time she opened a bill, she got froze. A sense of dread kept in because that outer situation she was living was tight. But her inner commentary, she said, made it worse. She'd be saying to herself, I'm failing. I'll never change. I'm not good with money. I don't have enough. Why even bother? But one night she tried a new thought and she used this affirmation: abundance, I am abundance, and abundance flows to me in unexpected ways. And she commented that it didn't feel natural at first because she didn't feel abundant, but she started working with it. It felt like she was pretending, but she kept saying it to calm herself down, and she kept affirming it. And after a while, she had an idea of some little way. She was artistic. She made some handmade cards. And then a friend offered to buy a set, and she did some more and gave them to someone else. And eventually, her story is she opened up a tiny little store online, and she started selling, I don't know, quite a few every month. And it didn't fix everything, but it brought in enough money to make her feel better and to pay some bills. But most importantly, it gave her hope. She changed her radio station from fear and dread to having hope. She wasn't listening to fear any longer 24 hours a day. She had tuned into possibility. And that's the shift that we're all after. Not forcing ourselves to feel great all the time, but gently, consistently turning the channel or the dial towards truth. The truth is that we are supplied and supported. And next I found a little poem from you from Hafiz, Hafiz, the beloved 14th century Persian mystic whose words still light hearts across centuries and continents. His writings are full of love, full of truth, and spiritual freedom. And I thought they'd be great for tonight. So let his words open something in you. It goes out, it starts this way. I have learned so much. I've learned so much from God that I can no longer call myself a Christian, a Jew, a Hindu, a Muslim, a Buddhist. The truth has shared so much of itself with me that I can no longer call myself a man, a woman, an angel, or even a pure soul. Love has befriended Hafiz so completely, it has turned to ash and freed me. It's freed me of every concept and image my mind has ever known. This is what happens when we tune into universal love. We become free. We become free of labels, free of limits, free to simply be. And that reminded me of the quote we've done a few times of Rumi, beyond the field of right and wrong. Well, I'll meet you in this place where we're free of all of that. And so now let's go there together in our little meditation for today, the garden of our mind. Wherever you are, you can gently close your eyes for a moment, unless you're driving a car or something. Take a full breath in and let it out. Inhale, exhale. Again, inhale, exhale. Allow your body to soften and your awareness to go inward. Imagine yourself in the most beautiful garden, not a random garden, but the inner landscape of your own being, deep in the center of your being. It's spacious, it's alive, it's glowing with potential. The soil is rich, welcoming, and ready. In your hand is a basket of affirmation seeds, each one sparkling with light. Choose one. Maybe it says, I'm worthy, or I'm safe, I'm healing. Take that seed or one of your own and gently plant it into the soil. Press it down with love and plant another. Perhaps this one is, I trust the timing of my life, or I'm abundant. Now watch it sprout. Watch them sprout right before your eyes. Notice they're becoming a wildflower or a tree or a radiant bloom. Keep planting. Each seed is a thought. Each thought becomes a form. You are creating a sanctuary of the mind. Now listen. In the background, there's music. Faint, but beautiful. It's the frequency of divine love, like a radio softly playing your highest truths. You hear it now, saying you are enough. I am loved. I'm whole. Let these ideas wash over you. Let it tune you back to center. Stay here for one more breath. Feel the aliveness in your inner garden, this place that you can return to anytime. Now slowly bring your attention back to our gathering. Wiggle your fingers, toes, whatever you like. Roll your shoulders. Take one final deep, beautiful breath. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. So let's seal our beautiful evening with an affirmative prayer. Let's say it together. Or I guess listen to me since we're in the Zoom call. I'm one with the one. I recognize the divine energy, the one divine energy, the radiant source of love, light, wisdom, and abundance, and I know it flows through me and through all creation. This infinite energy lives in me, as me, guides my thoughts, my choices, and my healing. I choose thoughts that nourish my soul. I plant seeds of peace, clarity, and joy in the garden of my mind. I digest my experiences with love and wisdom. I release what no longer works or no longer serves me, and I keep everything that strengthens me. I tune my mind into the frequency of love and possibility. I'm aligned, I'm empowered, and I'm free. I trust the process of life. I celebrate my forward progress. I honor my journey, and with deep gratitude, I give thanks for the power that lives within me, that's always available, always guiding, and always enough. I give thanks for the teachings of Louise. I give thanks for First Church, the wisdom that all the wisdom reminds me that healing begins in the mind, and love is the most nourishing thought of all, and so it is. So let's take a deep breath in, let that blessing settle into our bodies. I want to thank you all for being part of the center, being part of this healing gathering. It's a joy to be with you tonight. So now we're going to turn the cameras over to each of you. Please stay for the discussion if you can. We'd love to hear from everyone. We have a moment or two for everyone who wants to share. So thank you. We'll see you at the other side.